Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I truly living the life I want, or just going through the motions? It's a powerful question that can shift everything. Many of us spend our days chasing busyness, accumulating things we don't need, stressing over small problems, or overcommitting ourselves to please others, all while ignoring our own happiness and well-being. In today's video, we'll explore some of the most profound lessons I've learned over the years. Lessons that transformed my life after 70. From letting go of unnecessary busyness and materialism to embracing self-care and learning the power of saying no, these changes can unlock a life filled with peace, joy, and purpose. Stay with us until the end, because we'll also talk about ending toxic relationships, putting health first, and even tackling procrastination on personal goals. Practical advice that you can start applying today. Trust me, the lessons in this video could help you reclaim your time, energy, and happiness, no matter your age. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, disconnected, or stuck in old habits, this video is for you. So, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's dive into these life-changing insights together. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now, let's get started. 1. Letting go of working just to stay busy. In my younger years, I was consumed by an endless cycle of busyness, believing that my worth was defined by how much I accomplished. Each day was a relentless pursuit of goals, deadlines, and the validation that came from being needed and productive. I convinced myself that success was measured by the hours I worked, the projects I completed, and the admiration I earned from others for being constantly on the move. Rest was a luxury I couldn't afford, and slowing down felt like failure, a betrayal of the ambitions that kept me striving. I remember those years vividly. I wore my busyness like a badge of honor, proof to myself and the world that I was indispensable. Every hour spent on a new task, every late night hunched over work, felt like another step closer to a version of myself I thought I needed to become. My calendar was packed, my mind was always racing, and my heart was burdened with the weight of doing more, achieving more, and being more. But as the years passed, a quiet discontent began to take root. I couldn't name it at first. It was just a subtle, nagging feeling that something was missing. By the time I reached 70, that feeling had grown into a powerful realization that shook me to my core. I wasn't truly living. My days were filled with activity but devoid of meaning. The late nights and endless projects had drained me of energy, joy, and the ability to connect with the things and people that mattered most. I began to question everything. Why was I so busy? What was I chasing? And most importantly, what had I sacrificed in the process? The answers were uncomfortable, but they were also necessary. I saw clearly that much of my busyness wasn't about passion or purpose. It was about fear. Fear of falling behind, of being forgotten, of not measuring up. Somewhere along the way, I had internalized the belief that my value as a person depended on how much I could produce. It was a painful truth to confront. I realized that I had spent decades working not because I loved what I was doing, but because I didn't know how to stop. Busyness had become a habit, a way of life, and even an identity. But as I reflected on my journey, I also saw the toll it had taken. I had missed out on moments of stillness, on opportunities to savor the simple joys of life, and on the chance to nurture relationships that could have brought me deeper happiness. So, I made a decision. I decided to let go of the need to always be busy. At first, it was terrifying. I felt a wave of guilt and self-doubt, as if stepping back meant I was giving up or failing. But as I started to say no to the things that didn't align with my values or bring me joy, something unexpected happened. I felt lighter, freer, as though I were shedding a burden I hadn't realized I was carrying. This wasn't just a change in behavior. It was a transformation of my entire mindset. I began to see that busyness was not a badge of honor, but a barrier to the life I truly wanted. I gave myself permission to prioritize what mattered most. Time with the people I love, hobbies that reignited my sense of wonder, and quiet moments of reflection that allowed me to reconnect with myself. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is that rest is not laziness. It's a form of self-care and self-respect. By stepping away from the constant hustle, I've discovered a deeper sense of fulfillment than I ever found in my busiest days. I've learned to value quality over quantity, not just in my work, but in my time, relationships, and experiences. I no longer equate busyness with success. True wealth, I've come to realize, is measured in moments of genuine connection, in the freedom to pursue what lights up my soul, and in the peace that comes from knowing I'm living in alignment with my values. The world didn't fall apart when I stopped trying to do everything. Instead, it opened up, revealing a life that feels richer and more meaningful than I ever thought possible. Have you ever felt like you're running on autopilot, filling your days with tasks just to feel productive? Have you ever asked yourself why you're so busy, or what you're hoping to achieve? Imagine what it would feel like to step back, to let go of the endless chase, and to embrace a life guided by joy, purpose, and intention. For me, the answer was clear. Letting go of unnecessary busyness was the best decision I ever made. It wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight, but it changed everything. By releasing the need to constantly prove myself, I found something far more valuable, a life filled with balance, peace, and the quiet beauty of simply being. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to always do more, I encourage you to pause and reflect. What truly matters to you? What brings you joy and fulfillment? Give yourself permission to let go of what no longer serves you. Trust me, the freedom and clarity you'll gain are worth every moment of discomfort. Letting go isn't giving up. It's making space for the life you were always meant to live. 2. Quitting mindless spending. For so many years, I was caught in the relentless cycle of mindless spending, unaware of the deep toll it was taking on my life and happiness. Everywhere I turned, society's messages urged me to buy more, to acquire the latest gadgets, the trendiest clothes, and the fanciest decor. The advertisements promised that these things would bring me joy, status, and fulfillment. And for far too long, I believed them. I filled my home with shiny gadgets I barely used, closets bursting with clothes I didn't wear, and shelves cluttered with trinkets that gathered dust. For a fleeting moment, each purchase brought a small rush of happiness, a sense of satisfaction. But that joy always faded as quickly as it came, leaving behind a gnawing emptiness that no amount of buying could ever fill. What was left in the wake of my spending? A house overwhelmed with clutter and a profound sense of regret. I realized that none of these things truly made me happy. Instead, they became a burden, constant reminders of the money wasted, the space consumed, and the emotional void they never succeeded in filling. As I've grown older, I've come to an undeniable truth. Material possessions rarely provide lasting satisfaction. All the things I thought I needed, the objects I once believed would make my life complete, have proven to be nothing more than fleeting distractions. The real treasures in life, the ones that bring enduring fulfillment, aren't things at all. They're experiences that enrich the soul, relationships that warm the heart, and moments of quiet beauty that money can't buy. It wasn't an easy journey, but I made the conscious decision to step off the treadmill of consumerism. I decided to quit mindless spending and start spending with intention. Now, I ask myself before every purchase, does this truly add value to my life? Will it bring me lasting joy or serve a meaningful purpose? If the answer is no, I walk away. This shift has been nothing short of transformative. It's not just about saving money, though that's been an undeniable bonus. It's about reclaiming my time, energy, and emotional well-being from the grip of materialism. By letting go of the urge to shop impulsively, I've freed myself to focus on what truly matters. Experiences that nurture my soul, relationships that deepen my connection to others, and the beauty of living simply. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. These days, I find joy in the little things. A walk in nature, a heartfelt conversation, a well-worn book that expands my mind. I've realized that the best things in life aren't things at all. They're the memories I create, the love I share, and the moments I cherish. I no longer feel the pull of sales, discounts, or the promise of a shiny new possession. Instead, I feel liberated, lighter and freer than I ever thought possible. My home, once overflowing with clutter, is now a space of calm and simplicity. And my mind, once consumed by the chase for more, is now focused on gratitude for what I already have. Have you ever bought something on impulse, only to feel that sinking regret once the initial excitement wore off? Imagine what it would feel like to let go of that habit, to break free from the cycle of spending without purpose. What if every dollar you spent went towards something that genuinely brought you joy or enriched your life? For me, quitting mindless spending has been one of the most liberating and empowering choices of my life. It's not just about financial freedom, it's about emotional freedom. It's about breaking the chains of materialism and rediscovering the peace, contentment, and fulfillment that come from focusing on the things that truly matter. If you've ever felt the weight of regret after a purchase or the hollow promise of happiness from a new possession, I invite you to take a step back. Start small. Begin asking yourself, does this bring real joy? Does it serve a purpose? Slowly, you'll find that the urge to spend fades, replaced by a newfound appreciation for life's simplest, most meaningful pleasures. Letting go of mindless spending has opened the door to a life that feels more intentional, more peaceful, and more aligned with my values. It's a life where joy is no longer measured by the things I own, but by the love, gratitude, and purpose I feel every day. And that, I've discovered, is a kind of wealth no amount of money can buy. So, I made a decision. I decided to let go of the need to always be busy. At first, it was terrifying. I felt a wave of guilt and self-doubt, as if stepping back meant I was giving up or failing. But as I started to say no to the things that didn't align with my values or bring me joy, something unexpected happened. I felt lighter, freer, as though I were shedding a burden I hadn't realized I was carrying. This wasn't just a change in behavior. It was a transformation of my entire mindset. I began to see that busyness was not a badge of honor, but a barrier to the life I truly wanted. I gave myself permission to prioritize what mattered most: time with the people I love, hobbies that reignited my sense of wonder, and quiet moments of reflection that allowed me to reconnect with myself. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is that rest is not laziness. It's a form of self-care and self-respect. By stepping away from the constant hustle, I've discovered a deeper sense of fulfillment than I ever found in my busiest days. I've learned to value quality over quantity, not just in my work, but in my time, relationships, and experiences. I no longer equate busyness with success. True wealth, I've come to realize, is measured in moments of genuine connection, in the freedom to pursue what lights up my soul, and in the peace that comes from knowing I'm living in alignment with my values. The world didn't fall apart when I stopped trying to do everything. Instead, it opened up, revealing a life that feels richer and more meaningful than I ever thought possible. Have you ever felt like you're running on autopilot, filling your days with tasks just to feel productive? Have you ever asked yourself why you're so busy, or what you're hoping to achieve? Imagine what it would feel like to step back, to let go of the endless chase, and to embrace a life guided by joy, purpose, and intention. For me, the answer was clear. Letting go of unnecessary busyness was the best decision I ever made. It wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight, but it changed everything. By releasing the need to constantly prove myself, I found something far more valuable: a life filled with balance, peace, and the quiet beauty of simply being. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to always do more, I encourage you to pause and reflect. What truly matters to you? What brings you joy and fulfillment? Give yourself permission to let go of what no longer serves you. Trust me, the freedom and clarity you'll gain are worth every moment of discomfort. Letting go isn't giving up. It's making space for the life you were always meant to live. 2. Quitting mindless spending. For so many years, I was caught in the relentless cycle of mindless spending, unaware of the deep toll it was taking on my life and happiness. Everywhere I turned, society's messages urged me to buy more, to acquire the latest gadgets, the trendiest clothes, and the fanciest decor. The advertisements promised that these things would bring me joy, status, and fulfillment. And for far too long, I believed them. I filled my home with shiny gadgets I barely used, closets bursting with clothes I didn't wear, and shelves cluttered with trinkets that gathered dust. For a fleeting moment, each purchase brought a small rush of happiness, a sense of satisfaction. But that joy always faded as quickly as it came, leaving behind a gnawing emptiness that no amount of buying could ever fill. What was left in the wake of my spending? A house overwhelmed with clutter and a profound sense of regret. I realized that none of these things truly made me happy. Instead, they became a burden, constant reminders of the money wasted, the space consumed, and the emotional void they never succeeded in filling. As I've grown older, I've come to an undeniable truth. Material possessions rarely provide lasting satisfaction. All the things I thought I needed, the objects I once believed would make my life complete, have proven to be nothing more than fleeting distractions. The real treasures in life, the ones that bring enduring fulfillment, aren't things at all. They're experiences that enrich the soul, relationships that warm the heart, and moments of quiet beauty that money can't buy. It wasn't an easy journey, but I made the conscious decision to step off the treadmill of consumerism. I decided to quit mindless spending and start spending with intention. Now, I ask myself before every purchase, does this truly add value to my life? Will it bring me lasting joy or serve a meaningful purpose? If the answer is no, I walk away. This shift has been nothing short of transformative. It's not just about saving money, though that's been an undeniable bonus. It's about reclaiming my time, energy, and emotional well-being from the grip of materialism. By letting go of the urge to shop impulsively, I've freed myself to focus on what truly matters. Experiences that nurture my soul, relationships that deepen my connection to others, and the beauty of living simply. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. These days, I find joy in the little things. A walk in nature, a heartfelt conversation, a well-worn book that expands my mind. I've realized that the best things in life aren't things at all. They're the memories I create, the love I share, and the moments I cherish. I no longer feel the pull of sales, discounts, or the promise of a shiny new possession. Instead, I feel liberated, lighter and freer than I ever thought possible. My home, once overflowing with clutter, is now a space of calm and simplicity. And my mind, once consumed by the chase for more, is now focused on gratitude for what I already have. Have you ever bought something on impulse, only to feel that sinking regret once the initial excitement wore off? Imagine what it would feel like to let go of that habit, to break free from the cycle of spending without purpose. What if every dollar you spent went towards something that genuinely brought you joy or enriched your life? For me, quitting mindless spending has been one of the most liberating and empowering choices of my life. It's not just about financial freedom, it's about emotional freedom. It's about breaking the chains of materialism and rediscovering the peace, contentment, and fulfillment that come from focusing on the things that truly matter. If you've ever felt the weight of regret after a purchase or the hollow promise of happiness from a new possession, I invite you to take a step back. Start small. Begin asking yourself, does this bring real joy? Does it serve a purpose? Slowly, you'll find that the urge to spend fades, replaced by a newfound appreciation for life's simplest, most meaningful pleasures. Letting go of mindless spending has opened the door to a life that feels more intentional, more peaceful, and more aligned with my values. It's a life where joy is no longer measured by the things I own, but by the love, gratitude, and purpose I feel every day. And that, I've discovered, is a kind of wealth no amount of money can buy. 3. Letting go of stressing over the small things. In my younger years, I let the tiniest inconveniences hijack my peace of mind. A traffic jam on the way to work would send my heart racing with frustration. A petty argument over something inconsequential would replay endlessly in my head, consuming my thoughts long after it ended. A last-minute change in plans? It felt like the world had tilted off its axis. I lived in a constant state of low-grade anxiety, tethered to an endless stream of minor irritations that seemed so important at the time. But here's the thing, none of it really mattered. It was exhausting to live that way, carrying the weight of every small annoyance like it was a boulder on my back. Looking back, I realize how much energy I wasted stressing over things I couldn't change and wouldn't even remember a week later. It robbed me of the joy that comes from simply being present, from embracing the moment without letting every hiccup in the day throw me off balance. When I turned 70, something inside me began to shift. I started to see life through a wider lens, one that wasn't so focused on the minor imperfections and disruptions. I asked myself a question that became my guiding light whenever stress began to creep in. Will this matter a year from now? The answer, almost every single time, was a resounding no. This realization was like a breath of fresh air, a long overdue release from a burden I hadn't even realized I was carrying. Suddenly, the small things that once consumed me felt insignificant. Traffic jams? They'll pass, and the world will keep turning. Arguments over petty issues? Most aren't worth the emotional energy. Appointments or plans that don't work out? They'll fade into distant memories soon enough. I began to embrace a powerful truth. The only thing I can truly control is how I respond to life's challenges. By letting go of my need to control the uncontrollable, I found a sense of peace and clarity that had eluded me for decades. Life is full of imperfections, uncertainties, and messy moments. That's just how it is. But instead of fighting against it, I started to accept it, and in that acceptance, I discovered an unexpected beauty. The beauty lies in knowing that not everything needs to be perfect, that some days will be chaotic, and that's okay. There's freedom in surrendering to life's ebb and flow, in not letting minor irritations steal your joy. I've learned that peace isn't found in a life free of problems. It's found in how we choose to face them. This shift has transformed how I live each day. I no longer waste time or energy sweating the small stuff. When I feel stress bubbling up, I remind myself of what truly matters. The love I share with my family, the moments of laughter with friends, the quiet mornings spent with a cup of coffee and my thoughts. Those are the things that deserve my attention and energy, not the fleeting frustrations that used to dominate my mind. Imagine how different your life could be if you stopped worrying about the things you can't control. How much lighter would your heart feel if you let go of the small, insignificant stresses that clutter your mind and drain your energy? What would it be like to respond to life's imperfections with grace instead of resistance? For me, the decision to let go of stressing over the small things has been nothing short of life-changing. It's not just about reducing anxiety, it's about creating space for the things that truly matter. It's about living with intention, finding joy in the present moment, and approaching life with a calmer, more grounded perspective. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting things outside your control define your happiness. It means you learn to ride the waves of life rather than being swept away by them. And in doing so, you open the door to a life that feels lighter, freer, and infinitely more fulfilling. If you're like I was, constantly stressed about the little things, take a moment to ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? Chances are, it won't. And when you let go of those small stresses, you'll find a peace and clarity you never knew was possible. Life isn't about avoiding problems. It's about finding the strength and wisdom to rise above them, one moment of grace at a time. 4. Prioritizing self-care over pleasing others. For most of my life, I lived in a constant state of giving. Whether it was family, friends, or colleagues, I devoted myself to meeting their needs, often at the expense of my own. I believed that sacrificing my time, energy, and desires for others was a sign of strength, love, and selflessness. I wore my ability to put myself last like a badge of honor, convinced it made me a better person. But deep down, something didn't feel right. The more I gave, the emptier I felt. The more I pushed my needs aside, the more drained, resentful, and disconnected I became. My days were consumed by endless to-do lists for others, running errands, solving problems, mediating conflicts, and I left little to no room for myself. There were moments when I wanted to say no, to set a boundary, but the thought of disappointing someone or appearing selfish always stopped me. The truth I was too afraid to face for so many years was that constantly trying to please others wasn't making me happy. It wasn't even making others as happy as I imagined it would. Instead, it left me feeling invisible, as if my own needs didn't matter at all. I had poured so much of myself into others that there was nothing left for me. It wasn't until I turned 70 that the cracks in this way of living became impossible to ignore. I realized I was exhausted, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually. I felt like a shell of the person I once was, running on empty, and I knew something had to change. That's when it hit me. Self-care isn't selfish. It's not indulgent, irresponsible, or neglectful. It's essential. In a world that conditions us, especially women, to prioritize everyone else, I had to unlearn decades of believing that taking care of myself meant neglecting others. I realized that by constantly giving without replenishing myself, I wasn't truly helping anyone. Not my family, not my friends, and certainly not myself. The shift wasn't easy. For someone who had spent an entire lifetime putting others first, the idea of prioritizing my own needs felt foreign, even wrong at first. But I knew it was necessary. So, I started small. I carved out just a few moments each day that were solely for me. In the mornings, before anyone else was awake, I'd sit quietly with a cup of tea, savoring its warmth and stillness. I began walking in nature, allowing the beauty of the world around me to ground and calm me. I let myself indulge in books that inspired and nurtured my spirit, instead of just rushing through life doing what needed to be done. At first, I felt guilty, as if every moment I spent on myself was time stolen from someone else. But as I continued, something remarkable happened. I started to feel alive again. It was like rediscovering a part of myself that I hadn't seen in years. The energy, joy, and clarity I gained from these small acts of self-care were undeniable. What surprised me most was how this commitment to myself began to ripple outward. When I took care of myself, I had so much more to give. I could show up for others not out of obligation or exhaustion, but from a place of genuine love and fullness. Instead of feeling resentful or depleted, I found myself more present, more patient, and more engaged. My relationships improved, not because I was doing more for others, but because I was bringing the best version of myself to the table. I began setting boundaries, something I'd never done before. I learned to say no when something didn't align with my values or drained me unnecessarily. It wasn't easy at first, but with time, I realized that saying no wasn't a rejection, it was an act of self-respect. And to my surprise, the people in my life began to respect me more for it. There's a powerful lesson in this. When you prioritize yourself, you're not taking away from others. You're enriching the way you show up for them. By giving myself permission to care for my own needs, I was able to care for others in a way that felt sustainable and authentic. Have you ever found yourself constantly putting others first, feeling as though your own needs don't matter? It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking that caring for yourself is selfish, but the truth is the exact opposite. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. You can't pour from an empty cup, and if you don't take the time to refill it, you'll eventually find yourself unable to give it all. Imagine how different your life could be if you made your well-being a priority. What if, instead of feeling guilty for taking time for yourself, you embraced it as an act of love? Not just for you, but for the people you care about. What would happen if you carved out even a small portion of your day for activities that nourish your body, mind, and soul? For me, this shift has been nothing short of transformative. I've learned to listen to myself, to honor my needs, and to treat myself with the same kindness and compassion that I've always given to others. And in doing so, I've discovered a deeper sense of peace, balance, and fulfillment than I ever thought possible. Self-care isn't about shutting others out or neglecting your responsibilities. It's about creating space for yourself so that you can show up more fully in every aspect of your life. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't tied to how much you do for others, but to the love and intention you bring to each moment. If you've been neglecting yourself, I encourage you to pause and reflect. What brings you joy? What recharges your spirit? Start there. Begin small, with one act of self-care each day, and watch how it transforms your energy, your relationships, and your sense of self. For me, prioritizing self-care has been a journey, a gradual unlearning of old habits and a reconnection with my true self. It has taught me that I deserve the same care and attention I've always given so freely to others. And it's shown me that when I honor my needs, I can give to others from a place of abundance, not depletion. Self-care isn't selfish. It's the foundation for a life of peace, joy, and authenticity. By embracing it, I found not only a deeper connection to myself, but also a greater ability to love and care for the people around me. And that, I've learned, is the greatest gift I can give. 5. Saying no to overcommitting. For most of my life, I was the person who said yes to everything. Whether it was attending social events, volunteering for every cause, or helping friends and family with tasks, I was always eager to please. I wanted to be dependable, to show up for everyone, and to avoid disappointing anyone. The idea of saying no felt foreign, almost selfish. So, I filled my days to the brim, running from one commitment to the next, convincing myself that this constant busyness was a sign of a meaningful life. But over time, the cost of saying yes to everything began to reveal itself. My peace, my energy, and my well-being were the price I paid. I rarely had a moment to breathe, let alone time to rest or focus on my own needs. I was perpetually exhausted, physically drained from the endless activity, and emotionally depleted from the unrelenting pressure to meet everyone's expectations. It didn't take long for resentment to creep in. I began to feel trapped, as though I were living a life that wasn't my own. I realized that my constant people-pleasing wasn't making me happy. It was draining me. And perhaps most sobering of all, I saw that my efforts to never let anyone down were coming at the expense of letting myself down. As I've grown older, I've come to understand something profound. Saying no is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of self-respect. It's about recognizing your limits, valuing your time, and prioritizing your well-being. I had spent so many years pouring all my energy outward that I had none left for myself. Learning to say no wasn't just a change in behavior. It was a shift in mindset, a reclaiming of my right to choose how I spend my time and energy. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. At first, it was uncomfortable. Turning down invitations, declining requests, or stepping away from obligations felt foreign, even wrong. But as I started to prioritize my own needs, I noticed an incredible transformation. The more I said no to the things that didn't align with my values or bring me joy, the more space I created in my life for the things that truly mattered. Now, before I agree to anything, I pause and ask myself a series of questions. Does this commitment align with my values? Does it bring me joy? Will it enhance my life or drain my energy? If the answer is no, I allow myself the freedom to decline. And you know what? The world hasn't ended. This shift has been one of the most liberating changes I've ever made. By saying no to overcommitting, I've opened up space in my life for peace, rest, and reflection. I've created room to nurture the relationships that truly matter and to engage in activities that bring me genuine fulfillment. Instead of feeling spread thin and overwhelmed, I now feel balanced and grounded. There's a quiet power in choosing what to say yes to. It's about recognizing that your time and energy are finite resources, and they deserve to be spent on the things that truly enrich your life. Saying no doesn't mean you don't care about others. It means you care enough about yourself to ensure you have the energy to show up fully for the things and people that matter most. Do you ever find yourself struggling to say no? Have you ever agreed to something out of guilt or obligation, even when it left you feeling drained? Imagine how freeing it would feel to say no without hesitation, to prioritize your well-being over the fear of disappointing others. What's one thing you've recently agreed to that feels like an unnecessary weight on your shoulders? How would it feel to reclaim your time the next time someone makes a request that doesn't serve you? For me, learning to say no has been nothing short of a game changer. It's given me the gift of time, not just for rest, but for reflection, joy, and the commitments that truly matter. It's allowed me to protect my energy, focus on my priorities, and show up with greater intention in all areas of my life. Saying no is not a rejection of others. It's an affirmation of yourself. It's a statement that your time, energy, and well-being are just as important as anyone else's. And when you embrace this truth, you'll find that your life begins to feel lighter, freer, and more aligned with your values. If you're someone who has always struggled to say no, I encourage you to take that first step. Start small. Practice declining one request that doesn't serve you, and notice how it feels. Over time, you'll discover that saying no doesn't close doors, it opens them. It creates space for what truly matters, for the relationships and experiences that bring you joy, and for the peace and balance you deserve. For me, saying no has been an act of self-care, a way of reclaiming my life and choosing to live on my own terms. And I've learned that when I say no to what drains me, I'm really saying yes to myself, to my happiness, and to the life I truly want to live. 6. Ending unhealthy relationships. Relationships are at the heart of our lives, shaping who we are and how we experience the world. But not all relationships are created equal. For years, I clung to connections with people who didn't respect me or brought negativity into my life, out of a sense of duty or obligation. Whether it was friends, colleagues, or even family members, I felt compelled to maintain these relationships, even though they left me feeling drained, anxious, and emotionally exhausted. Deep down, I knew these relationships weren't serving me, but I couldn't let go. I didn't want to disappoint anyone, and I feared being alone. But when I turned 70, something inside me shifted. I had a wake-up call, a realization that life is far too short to waste on people who don't uplift you. Time is precious, and spending it with those who don't bring joy, peace, or positivity into your life is not only draining but damaging. Letting go of unhealthy relationships wasn't easy, and it came with its share of guilt and fear. But it was also one of the most freeing and necessary things I've ever done for myself. I didn't end these relationships with malice or bitterness. I simply chose to prioritize my well-being. I began focusing on people who genuinely cared for me, supported me, and encouraged my growth. I sought out relationships that were nurturing, enriching, and mutual. What I found was nothing short of transformative. Letting go of toxic connections created space for deeper, more meaningful bonds. The weight of negativity lifted, and I felt a profound sense of peace I hadn't known before. I was finally surrounded by people who made me feel valued, respected, and loved. Are there people in your life who drain your energy? Maybe you've been holding on to relationships that, deep down, you know aren't serving you. What might happen if you focused on those who lift you up instead of those who bring you down? Imagine how much lighter and happier you would feel if you chose to invest your time in people who bring positivity into your life. Ending unhealthy relationships isn't easy, but it's a powerful act of self-love. It's not about cutting people off out of anger. It's about choosing to nurture the connections that bring joy, love, and support into your world. Since making this shift, my life has been filled with deeper, more meaningful connections, and I've never felt more at peace. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to walk away from what no longer serves you. 7. Putting my health first. For far too long, I put my health on the back burner, convinced that there were always more important things demanding my attention: work, family, and endless responsibilities. It was easy to push my well-being aside, telling myself I'd focus on it later. But when I turned 70, I had a moment of reckoning. I realized that I could no longer afford to ignore my health. I began to understand that without it, even the simplest joys of life, like playing with my grandkids, taking a walk in nature, or just waking up without aches and pains, could slip through my fingers. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but I started with small, manageable changes. I began walking every morning, not as a chore, but as a time to reconnect with myself and the world around me. I swapped out processed foods for fresher, healthier options, nourishing my body in ways I hadn't before. And perhaps most importantly, I carved out moments for stillness and reflection through meditation, something that has deeply enriched my mental and emotional health. These small changes weren't just about improving my physical health. They were a gateway to clearer thinking, more emotional balance, and an overall sense of well-being that I had long overlooked. There's a saying that health is wealth, and now I know how true that is. No amount of money, success, or achievement can replace the feeling of waking up each day feeling strong, capable, and mentally clear. And the best part, it's never too late to start. No matter where you are in life, taking even the smallest step toward better health can create ripple effects that change everything. How often do you find yourself putting your health last? What if, just for a moment, you shifted your focus and made your well-being a priority? Imagine the difference that even the tiniest change, whether it's a daily walk, a healthier meal, or a few minutes of quiet meditation, could make in your life. For me, prioritizing my health has been nothing short of transformative. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better. If I can do it at 70, I truly believe anyone can. So, what's one small thing you can start doing today to improve your health? You might just be amazed at how it changes your life. 8. Tackling procrastination on personal goals. Time is a funny thing. It seems infinite when we're young, and before we know it, years have slipped through our fingers. For much of my life, I fell into the trap of believing there was always tomorrow, always later, to chase my dreams. I was busy with the demands of everyday life, always telling myself there would be time in the future to focus on me, on the passions and goals I had quietly tucked away. But when I turned 70, I had a sobering realization: later isn't guaranteed. That wake-up call pushed me to stop waiting for the elusive perfect moment, and to start taking action on the dreams I had postponed for far too long. I no longer wanted to be the person who looked back with regret, wondering what could have been if I had only dared to act sooner. Whether it was learning a new skill, traveling to a place I had always dreamed of, or simply finishing the book I started years ago, I committed myself to pursuing my personal goals with intention, determination, and, most importantly, joy. There's an incredible power in deciding that the perfect time is now. No more waiting. No more making excuses. No more putting off the things that truly matter to me. What I discovered along the way was nothing short of magical. This shift has reignited my passion for life in ways I never expected. Each day feels filled with purpose, excitement, and a renewed sense of adventure. I'm no longer living in a someday mindset. I'm living in the here and now, and it feels exhilarating. Have you ever put your dreams on hold, telling yourself that you'll get to them later? What's stopping you from taking that first step today? Imagine how your life might change if you stopped waiting for the perfect time and started pursuing your personal goals right now. What's one dream that's been lingering in the back of your mind? I can tell you from experience that the moment you stop procrastinating on what truly matters to you, everything changes. You realize that it's not about having everything figured out or waiting for the stars to align. It's about taking action, however small, and watching as those small steps build into something extraordinary. The perfect time is now. And I promise you, once you start, you'll wonder why you didn't take that leap sooner. 9. Embracing change instead of fearing it. For the longest time, change was my biggest fear. I dreaded the thought of anything shifting or evolving in my life. I held on tightly to what was familiar, even when, deep down, I knew it wasn't serving me anymore. There's a certain comfort in the known, and I convinced myself that staying in my comfort zone was the safest, easiest path. But as the years passed, and especially as I reached 70, I began to see things differently. I started to understand that change is inevitable, whether we welcome it or not. More importantly, I realized that change is often the key to growth, renewal, and discovering new layers of ourselves that we never knew existed. Instead of resisting change, I made the conscious choice to embrace it with open arms. And what a profound shift that was. Where I once saw change as something frightening, I now see it as a gateway to new experiences, opportunities, and self-discovery. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Embracing change has added a sense of freedom and adventure to my life that I never expected at this stage. Each change, big or small, has become a chance to learn, evolve, and step into new possibilities. By welcoming change, I've opened myself to so much more than I could have ever imagined. I no longer cling to the past or hold on to what feels safe simply out of fear. Instead, I approach each change with curiosity, asking myself, what new experience might this bring? How can I grow through this? What I've found is that change has a way of transforming us, often in ways we never thought possible. It has brought me closer to my true self and added a sense of excitement and renewal to my life. What if you stopped fearing change and started viewing it as an adventure? What if, instead of resisting the shifts that life inevitably brings, you leaned into them with an open heart? Imagine how your life might transform if you stopped clinging to what was and embraced what could be. Are there changes you've been resisting out of fear? What might happen if you chose to face them head-on, with curiosity instead of hesitation? For me, this shift in mindset has been life-changing. By embracing change rather than fearing it, I've unlocked new dimensions of joy, growth, and freedom in my life. So, what's stopping you from leaning into change? Let it guide you, let it teach you, and, most importantly, let it lead you to a life full of new possibilities. The adventure awaits. You just have to be willing to leap. 10. Valuing sleep as a cornerstone of health. Sleep is one of those things we often overlook when we're younger. We think we can get by on a few hours here and there, pushing ourselves to stay up late for work, socializing, or mindless distractions. I was no different. I used to sacrifice rest without a second thought, running on fumes because there was always something that felt more important. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. But as I've gotten older, I've come to deeply appreciate how vital sleep is to my overall well-being. I realized that without proper rest, my body, mind, and spirit simply couldn't function at their best. Sleep, I've learned, is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's during those hours of rest that our bodies heal, our minds reset, and our spirits recharge. Now, I don't take sleep for granted anymore. I've made it a cornerstone of my health, prioritizing it above late-night TV, staying up for another hour of work, or mindlessly scrolling on my phone. I've established a bedtime routine that helps me wind down and ensures I'm getting the quality rest I need. A warm cup of herbal tea, a good book, or some gentle meditation. These small rituals signal to my body that it's time to relax, let go of the day, and restore. The difference this change has made is profound. Waking up feeling refreshed, energized, and clear-headed has become one of the most rewarding changes I've made for myself. I'm no longer dragging through the day, trying to function on limited energy. Instead, I wake up with a sense of vitality that allows me to fully embrace the day ahead. Sleep has truly transformed the way I live. I can't emphasize enough how crucial it is, not just for physical health, but for mental clarity and emotional balance as well. Are you getting enough sleep? Think about it for a moment. How much better could you feel with just a little more rest? How might your mood, your energy levels, and even your productivity improve if you made sleep a priority? What's one small change you can make to your bedtime routine that could help you get the rest you deserve? For me, the simple act of valuing sleep has been life-changing. It's taught me to respect my body's needs and honor the importance of rest in living a full, vibrant life. So tonight, why not try winding down a little earlier? Turn off the screens, create a calming routine, and let yourself fully rest. Your body, mind, and spirit will thank you for it. 11. Letting go of comparisons. Comparing ourselves to others is something most of us do without even realizing it. I spent so many years of my life quietly measuring my worth against others, comparing their achievements, their appearances, and their lifestyles to my own. It was almost instinctive, as if validation could only be found by seeing how I stacked up next to those around me. Whether it was through career success, personal milestones, or even superficial things like physical appearance, I allowed the lives of others to dictate how I felt about myself. But when I turned 70, everything changed. I had a revelation that hit me deeply. Comparison is a thief of joy. I realized that no matter how much I compared myself to others, it would never lead to happiness. Instead, it only sowed seeds of self-doubt, envy, and dissatisfaction. I stopped looking outward for validation and began to turn inward, focusing on my unique journey. Each of us walks a different path, and there's no universal measure of success or happiness. We all have our timelines, our struggles, and our victories. By letting go of the need to compare, I found something far more valuable than outside approval. I found peace. A deep sense of contentment washed over me as I began to appreciate my life for exactly what it is, rather than constantly wishing it were different or more like someone else's. The shift in mindset was nothing short of transformative. No longer weighed down by the constant pressure to measure up, I felt lighter, freer, and more joyful. I realized that the life I've lived is enough, more than enough. It's mine, and it's uniquely beautiful in its own way. The energy I once wasted on comparison is now spent appreciating the small, precious moments that make my life meaningful. What would happen if you stopped comparing yourself to others? Imagine the joy, the peace, and the contentment you might find if you focused on your journey, on the beauty of your unique path. How often do you find yourself measuring your life against someone else's? What might change if you shifted that focus inward, choosing instead to celebrate the person you are, the life you've built, and the path you're on? For me, letting go of comparisons has been one of the most freeing decisions I've ever made. It's allowed me to embrace my life, flaws and all, with a sense of pride and gratitude I didn't know I was capable of. I stopped wishing for someone else's life and started living fully in my own. What about you? What have you learned so far? Take a moment to reflect on one insight from this video that resonated with you the most. Is it letting go of comparisons? Prioritizing self-care? Or perhaps saying no to overcommitting? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what step you'll take to bring this wisdom into your own life. If you found value in this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us create more content to inspire and empower you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.